YouTube edition of Prep Picks. We've got Casey, Steve, Cole. As you can see, Andrew is not with us. He will be joining us intermittently. I made the reference earlier today via Memorex. He didn't know what that was because he's too young to know, but you and I got that reference.
No question.
I'm sure some of you watching certainly do. We'll jump right in with the picks. Take a look there at the standings. Not a huge change in the standings, or generally isn't, because we don't pick a lot of games that are different, but you can see there where everybody stands. First game we have up on the agenda, Tennessee High at West Ridge. Casey, we'll start with you.
All right, well, both of these teams have big games next week. I mean, West Ridge is winning, get in the playoffs next week. Tennessee High is going to fight for that third seed with Daniel Boone. So, yeah, I wonder how both of these teams are going to really go all in for this one. If there's anyone banged up, do they hold them out for next week's big game? Because West Ridge is coming off a bye week and because they're at home, I will take them. I think their guys more well-rested than Tennessee High.
Yeah, and it might play to the Wolves' advantage playing a day early, too, having that week off last week. Tennessee High did not, but the Viking ground attack, over 300 yards rushing against Cocke County, coming off weeks in which they put 233 on David Crockett, 261 on Gates City, 282 on Abingdon. West Ridge allowed over 300 yards at Jefferson County last week. But that West Ridge defense against the run has been pretty stout. The front seven really good for West Ridge all year long. Jefferson County is the Region 1 6A champion for a reason. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. West Ridge hasn't scored but 21 points the last couple of weeks without quarterback Trey Frazier. So I see a very low-scoring game, a game that typically in a low-scoring game could turn on a special teams play. I'll take West Ridge. I don't know that any team gets to 20. First one may win this one.
Cool.
Right, and that's something that we haven't addressed a lot since it happened, was when Trey Frazier got sidelined. So it's, what does this offense look like without him? Does it change the fact that they still would have lost to Science Hill and Jefferson County? Probably not. So that's where you're kind of looking at how effective is this offense without him under center. I still think they have enough playmakers to get the ball out, get them in space. Again, could be a low-scoring game. I'm going to go with the home team here in West Ridge.
This first game this week, West Ridge against Tennessee High. That kind of that Bristol battle, how you want to look at it. West Ridge, though, just a much bigger school. They've had a pretty good season, so give me the Wolves in this one.
All right, I said this on the TV show. I'm going out on a limb. Give me the Vikings without Trey Frazier. I don't know that West Ridge's offense is going to be able to move the ball like they did before he was injured. Now, they have had an extra week to kind of figure that out with the bye week, but I just feel the need to mix it up. I think this game is going to be close, like Steve says, so somebody has to do it. Vikings. Don't let me down. I'm picking you this week. All right, Chuckey-Doak at Unicoi County. This is a huge game for seeding in Region 1 3A. Steve, we'll start with you.
Well, as we were middling through the William Blunt Dobbins-Bennett game, watching mass amounts of incomplete passes and penalties, early in the second quarter, I checked the old ticker, and Unicoi County was down 26-7 at halftime against Claiborne. Now, the Blue Devils did rally and came back with quarterback Coda Jones and outstanding effort by wide receiver Coda Hutlip. But that kind of concerned me. Obviously, Chuckey-Doak's last game against Johnson County didn't score an offensive touchdown. That's concerning as well. But here's the deal. This is a huge region game for both. The winner stays in line for a home playoff game. The loser gets in line for a quick exit in the playoffs at 8-time state champion Alcoa. I'm going to go with Unicoi County at home. I think it's going to be another close game, a good game. I'll take Unicoi County at home, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's one of those things, where does the concern lie the greatest? You're concerned with Unicoi County being down that much. I was concerned with Chuckey-Doak only scoring 3 points 2 weeks ago to Johnson County. They have not done that great against good defenses this year. So, but they have had that extra week to prepare, maybe get guys who are banged up back to recovery. Maybe they try something, but they don't fix their mistakes from 2 weeks ago against Johnson County. I don't see it being any different. Unicoi County also has a good defense. I'm going to go with them at home.
Casey.
We did this game on Friday Night Rivals, I think back during the COVID year, 2020, I believe, and Chuckey-Doak went on the road, won at Unicoi County. But you're right, Steve. I'm just concerned if Unicoi, they flipped the switch against Claiborne, but I don't know if they can do that against Chuckey-Doak. And the fact that Chuckey-Doak was off last week, I'm sure 2 weeks of practice after that poor performance against Johnson County. I'm going to take Chuckey-Doak in this one. I think maybe a little more consistency we've seen from them, even though they have lost games, so is Unicoi. But I feel like Unicoi maybe a little more up and down. I'll take Chuckey-Doak.
This is a huge game. I mean, this is a game that has implications from being the 2 seed in the region or possibly being the 4 seed. I've seen only Chuckey-Doak play this year, and Unicoi County last week, they kind of left me scratching heads against their performance against Claiborne. I got to go Chuckey-Doak in this one. I just have a feeling Black Knights, so give me Chuckey-Doak.
All right, I feel a little bit better because I was all alone in my Chuckey-Doak pick on the TV side, so I'm glad that I have somebody agreeing with me because I am also going to go with Chuckey-Doak. All right, Holston at Johnson County. This is a fascinating matchup between two teams that are pretty close to each other, right over the mountain. We will start with Cole on this one.
Yeah, so I think same as what we were talking about with the Chuckey-Doak game, that Johnson County defense is something else. They show up to play and they're ready, and we like to lean in these situations, tend to lean in the Tennessee side of things with bigger schools against our Southwest Virginia folks. So I think that Johnson County defense comes out and plays again. Holston, don't know if they have enough of an offense to score some points in this one, so I'll go with the Longhorns.
Casey?
This past weekend, I spent some time up in Johnson County at the Cranberry Festival. Met a lot of nice people from Mountain City area, Johnson County fans. Saw a lot of Longhorns hats and fans. Because of that, I'm taking Johnson County to get the win.
Well, my father-in-law was from Johnson County, so I've been over there a few times myself, but you're right, good people over there, and a great defense over there as well. 5 of the last 6 Johnson County has won because of a defense that's only allowed an average of 12 points in those 5 wins. And it's allowed an offense that's only scored 34 points its last 2 games to still come away with 2 wins. So I'll take the Longhorns in that defense.
What an interesting game this one is. Holston against Johnson County. These two teams separated just by the state line. I think it's going to be a good game on Friday night. Johnson County, though, just a much bigger school. They're also riding a big streak right now, so give me the Longhorns on Friday night.
I agree. I think if you asked me this question maybe 3 weeks ago, I might have leaned towards Holston, but Johnson County's defense has been playing so well. I am going to go with the Longhorns as well. All right, big Region 1D matchup. Rye Cove at Chilhowie. Casey, you got?
I'll take Rye Cove. I mean, they're off a bye week, I believe, as well. That's been a theme in this version of the prep picks here this week. Coming off a bye week, a lot of teams are coming off open weeks. Rye Cove, I think they're going to get this win. They're still have an outside chance, maybe. If Honaker stumbles, maybe they can get up to that top seed, but definitely look like they could have multiple home playoff games. They're not going to lose this one. I like Rye Cove.
Well, Tennessee last week, there was like 200 teams coming off bye weeks this week. But am I wrong? Is this the first time these two teams have ever met, which is kind of surprising? Big Region 1 game, as they mentioned. You look at the common opponents, and the difference here is the way Rye Cove played Honaker, 40-32. Rye Cove, one of the few teams that has hung in with Honaker throughout the 4 quarters. Chilhowie did not. For that, I'll take Rye Cove.
Oh.
Yeah, Rye Cove, I haven't really gone against them all year long. I think they're right there with Honaker there in Southwest Virginia. I think that if you look at Chilhowie, impressive 4-1 start, let the last couple of weeks slip away from them, still close games. They could be 5-2, impressive after no wins last year, but I just don't think they have enough to hang around here with Rye Cove. I'll go with the Eagles.
I love Chilhowie. I love the Warriors. I love what they're doing. But I mean, Rye Cove is a tough team. The Eagles, I mean, probably one of the other best teams in Class 1 right now. So give me the Eagles soaring big on Thursday night.
And I am going to go with the Eagles as well. I think that they and Honaker are really the class of Region 1D. Speaking of Honaker, let's go ahead and jump to that game. Big game, Friday night rivals television game with Patrick Henry. I'm going to switch the order up a little bit, Casey, because you're on the call. I'm going to let you go first in this one.
All right, I'm not going to do a Kirk Herbstreit once again. I'll make a pick on games. He doesn't do that on game day. But, yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I mean, no game we've done this year is more contrasting styles of a team that wants to throw the ball 30 to 40 times a game and one that will throw it about 4 to 5 times a game. And Patrick Henry and Coach Patchen's made no secret they have to slow the game down. They might take a page out of the old Dean Smith, North Carolina 4 corners, wait for that play clock to get down to 2, 1, snap the ball. They have to do whatever they can. They're going to have to play not a perfect game, but close to a perfect game if they want to beat Honaker. And they have to. I think the coin toss will be huge in this game. Both coaches already said they get it. They're going to take the ball. They need to make a statement. I think Honaker, a little too many weapons. Closer game. I'll say maybe 2 touchdowns difference, but I think Honaker.
It's the first time we've had a coin toss reference in the history of prep picks. Interesting. And I just got a text. The game now is final.
It is final?
Yeah, it's final.
Last week?
Honaker did win that game. As long as that game was last week, Patrick Henry wants it to be as quick this week. That's because they want to control the game on the ground with that big offensive line and the great running back that they have. But that's been the formula every team has tried against Honaker this year. Honaker scores 74 points last week, gives up 51, still wins by 3 touchdowns. Just too much offense. Peyton Music, 6 touchdowns last week, even added a touchdown receiving. Are you going for the Heisman? I mean, what are you doing? Great effort by him. I like Honaker.
Yeah, this Patrick Henry team reminds me of my high school football team. It's maybe throw the ball 4 times. So from experience, if you do run the ball that way, even if you are elite at it, you have to be able to keep up with an offense on the other side that is able to throw the ball around the yard, can strike in 2 seconds. Even if you keep them off the field majority of the game, they can still strike fast. That's where I'm going to just stick with Honaker here. Haven't gone against them all year.
Casey, you might be on one of the best calls of the year. This game, Honaker against PH, is going to be such a good one. Ooh, PH has got 2 bad losses on the year, though. I want to pick PH. I really want to pick PH. But I'm not going to. I'm going to pick Honaker. Why would I not? They're undefeated, and they're the #1 team in Region 1D right now, so give me the Tigers.
I think this game could be close because of the weather. I think that the weather absolutely is playing into Patrick Henry's sort of wheelhouse, running the ball, but I still think even if it's just an absolute gully washer, which Dave says it may not be now, but even if it is, I still think that the slight edge will go to Honaker. I think it's going to be fun, too, because we didn't even discuss. These 2 coaches are best friends. They talk every day, and I think it could be really animated knowing these 2 coaches, too. I think you might going to have a good time with this one.
And that's 74 points last week, school record for Honaker, but they scored 0 points in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, neither team scored in the 3rd quarter.
Neither team scored in the 3rd quarter. They still scored 74 in 3 quarters. It wasn't like they pulled the starters out. They were still in there. Just amazing what they did last week. But I think they're not going to score 70. I don't even think they're getting the 60s this week. Patrick Henry will just take too much time off the clock with their offense.
All right, how about Virginia High at Jenkins, Kentucky? Now, I threw this one in here because Jenkins is actually in our viewing area. We hardly ever talk about the Kentucky team, so I know this is going to be a tough one, but I decided to be kind of fun. We'll start with you, Steve.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Heather was a baseball pitcher, she would be a junk baller because she throws us some curveballs every week, and this is certainly a big hook here with Virginia High at a Jenkins team that's not won a football game since October 7th of 2016. They've not played full seasons every year. They are playing a full season this year, lost 1 game by a score. It says 56-4. How do you lose 56-4?
2 safeties is tough.
You know,
That is tough.
That is tough. Anyway, Virginia High, I take Virginia High. I don't know much about Jenkins, but they're obviously still trying to get that program on track. I think they'll have less than 200 students enrolled in the school, so there's a big discrepancy there. I'll take Virginia High.
Yeah, big lean towards Virginia. You know, they went on that 4-game skid looking to get back. They had that big, dramatic last-second touchdown last week to sneak by Richlands, a game they really needed. That would have been detrimental if they lost that one. So I think it's ride with the Bearcats.
I'm glad you explained that, Heather, because I was wondering why this game was on the list. I looked at Jenkins and saw 0-8, and their closest loss was
Just giving a little love to our
points.
Kentucky people every once in a while.
Yeah, Virginia High, I mean, that game last week, as Cole mentioned, they were down 17-0 at Richlands, came back and won that game. If they would have lost that one, it would have been really difficult for them to make the playoffs. The latest PowerPoints, Steve's favorite, they are 7th in 2D. It's kind of Virginia High, Lebanon, John Battle, and Marion. Those 4 teams kind of are going for the final 2 spots in the playoffs. Of course, Virginia High plays Lebanon next week, but I think they take care of business on the road trip up in Kentucky, and they get to 3-5 on the season.
What another interesting game this one will be. Virginia High going on the road all the way to Jenkins, Kentucky. I don't know much about Jenkins, but I do know a lot about Virginia High. They're getting a lot better. So give me the Bearcats.
Plus, the other thing is that we haven't really talked about Virginia High very much this year because they haven't had the greatest of seasons. And so, but I do think this is a good game to maybe for them to work some things out before what is going to be a monumental game for them as far as the playoffs next week against Lebanon. I'm going to go with the Bearcats as well. Speaking of important games for the playoffs, Thomas Walker at Eastside. Both these teams are battling to get in Region 1D. Cole, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I really like this Eastside team. They got to stop by their practice last week and talking to Coach Mike Rhodes. This is a really young football team. Like you mentioned last week, they were one of the perennial playoff teams, better teams in the region. And then last year was the first time they hadn't made the playoffs with at least Mike Rhodes and his staff there. But they're a bunch of young kids who have bought into a vision. They play hard every week, and the fact that they were where they were last week at 3-3 and had a chance to win at Twin Springs, they only lost by 8, and I think a big turning point was an early fumble on special teams. If they don't cough that ball up and Twin Springs goes up 14-0, that's a completely different ball game. They could have won that one, so I really like them. Thomas Walker's won a couple big games, but I think I'm leaning Eastside in this one. I really like what they're doing there.
Casey?
I think when I looked at the PowerPoints, I think Eastside might be on the outside of the top 8. So they really need this game. They're at home. I think this is, they're at home, right? This is at Eastside.
Yes,
I'll take Eastside.
Yeah, Thomas Walker may be in those PowerPoints, but they may be out if they lose this football game, and Eastside may be in. But you're right, Cole, looking at how Eastside played against Twin Springs. Also look at how they played against Rye Cove, just a 12-point loss to the Eagles. Meanwhile, Thomas Walker, it was 44-0 there. So I'll take the Spartans at home.
Thomas Walker against Eastside, both teams need this win bad. This is a game that's got some major playoff implications. You need a win to get in. Eastside, I think, needs it more, so give me the Spartans.
I've been impressed with both of these teams this year. They've made big jumps from where they were last year to even be in the playoff conversation. But Eastside is playing really good football right now, even in the loss last week, so I'm going to go with Eastside as well. All right, let's jump back over to the Tennessee side. Sullivan East at West Greene. I believe they have moved this game to Thursday now. Casey, we will start with you.
Steve, this is for you. Sullivan East coming off bye week. West Greene coming off bye week. All right. Sullivan East, they got their playoff spot all locked up. But next week, when they play Northview Academy, assuming they don't beat Greenville this week, that game will determine 3rd place and 4th place. So I think Sullivan East, big game for Drake Fisher and company. I think they score a lot of points and get a win over a West Greene team who, is stepping up a couple notches to play Sullivan East. So Sullivan East big.
Yeah, Sullivan East did get that offense on track 2 weeks ago before their bye week. And, the offense, though, we talked about Drake Fisher all year long. I mean, last time it was Donovan Smith-Peters scoring all 6 of those touchdowns for the Patriots, so it's just not the Drake Fisher show. West Greene has won 3 times, I think, this year. 2 of those have been against 1A competition. The other win against last place in their region, Cumberland Gap. I think Sullivan East puts up some points here. Rain or no rain, coin toss win or no coin toss win. I'll take Sullivan East.
Yeah, West Greene just don't think they have enough depth to keep up with Sullivan East here. I think they got a little bit back on track last week. Had to play, of course, Greenville and Elizabeth then back to back. So obviously, chalking those up as losses on our end at least. So getting back in the groove of things, a win over Cherokee, struggled a little bit early, but ended up still putting up 40. I think they keep it rolling and beat West Greene.
East versus West Greene, no question. Give me Drake Fisher and the Patriots. Patriots big.
I will agree with the gentleman here at the table and go with Sullivan East. All right, last one. It is the battle for Hawkins County bragging rights. Volunteers are looking for their first win of the season against Cherokee. Steve.
Yeah, Volunteer this year, its offense has only scored like 65 points. The defense allows 43 points per game. Look, they're very young. We've talked about it before. Very young, have had some injuries. Cherokee does have 2 wins, but those wins came over a 2-6 Granger team and an 0-8 Seymour team. But here's the deal on this one. It doesn't matter what's happened at any part of this season or what happens after this game. The season will be made for the winner of this football game. You're going to go in and watch a football game on Friday night with a combined 2 wins between the 2 teams, and the stadium at Cherokee, the reservation, the Big Red Valley, is going to be absolutely packed with red and blue. It's going to be a great scene. I think Cherokee, the last 4 weeks offensively, has been able to muster enough offense to push through and get those 2 wins, averaging about 27 points in those 4 weeks. Volunteers' offense has just not been that productive. I'll have to go with Cherokee this time.
Yeah, got to see Cherokee against Sullivan East, and like I said, it was Sullivan East struggled a little bit. Cherokee looked pretty, they have some playmakers, and Landon Jeffers at quarterback, he's a pretty good quarterback. They're able to put up points. They were close to taking a lead in the 3rd quarter of that game. They kind of let it slip away at the end. So going up against Volunteer, who hasn't been able to score points, I'm going to take Cherokee.
Yeah, you're right, Steve. This game, even though both teams are already out of the playoffs, this late in the season, it is now a region game. This game used to not be a region game, but with Cherokee dropping down to 4A, this is a region game. We did this game several years ago on TV. It was the first time I was at it. It is a heck of a game to be at. If you've never been at this game, no matter what the records are, it is a very nice game to be at. You know, last year, I believe Cherokee won by 1 point at Volunteer, which was maybe a bit of an upset last year. I think Cherokee is going to get the win this year. I think Volunteer, maybe those young kids out there, this gauntlet they've played. I mean, Elizabethton last week, you know, they had Greenville recently. It's just been tough, and Cherokee's coming off a bye week. So they're rested. I'll take Cherokee.
Ooh, battle for Hawkins County. I was at this one a couple years ago. Cherokee has not had this upper edge like they've had for this one in a while. Volunteers still winless on the season, looking for that first win. I don't think they'll get it Friday night, so give me Cherokee. And Cherokee will get the win, and they get in the playoffs, so congrats to the Chiefs on a great season.
It's a good thing bye week is not like I know this is a PJ, maybe a Kool-Aid drinking game because we would all be on a sugar high. After how many times as we've said that. I got to see Volunteer play last week against Elizabeth, and it was not pretty. But you can see there's some talent in the young players. I think they had a couple of sacks while I was there, and I was not there long. But so I think there's some promise within that program. But I do think that Cherokee is just a little bit further along, maybe because of their age and the experience in their program. So I picked this game because I think it's a great game. It's such a fun rivalry. But I think Cherokee gets the win this week. All right, guys. Fun as always. Be sure you go to TriCitySports.com. Check out all the great work. You should see all of the region and state volleyball and soccer stories he has on there. I was perusing last night. You could be up for hours checking out all the stuff that he has on there, which is great. Casey's going to be on the call for the Friday Night Rivals game of the week between Honaker and Patrick Henry, so make sure you tune in for that. And then Cole and I will have Friday Night Huddle with about 2 games at this point, the way that we're going, Friday at 11:15 on News 5. Thanks for joining us.
And go Vols.